Alrighty, hello and welcome to the channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the budget game PC build. This is the 1080p killer. So first, I'm going to say that this is going to come out to around $1,000. There will be alternatives that I'm going to mention throughout the video that you can look at and research. And I would also like to first go over a common misconception in the gaming industry. You see the companies Intel and Nvidia, and people will automatically assume that those are the companies, like those are the only option if you want a good PC. It couldn't be further from the truth. It's a misconception I had years ago that I saw AMD and I got disgusted. It was weird. It was so weird, but it's just not true. Okay, on to the 1080p killer, as I like to call it. We scored it. A metric I like to use is bottlenecks, which essentially means something is lowering the capacity of something else. So if you have an extremely good processor and you have a mid-level graphics card, when you play games, it's going to be kind of the performance is going to be minimized to that of the lowest performing item. So I like to have no bottlenecks in my build so you can unlock the full potential of your computer. Anyway, on to the next one. So this is a reality check. Memory and random access memory is expensive, which is, if you have not been living under a rock, then you'd know that. But here on the slide, you can kind of see, like I call it the reality check. $200 for a 32 gigabyte DDR5 kit today. It was under 100 a year ago. Just a year ago. They're 2 to 3 times what RAM and SSDs cost in 2024. And of course, with the situation with the data centers and all this RAM being used up there, it's just causing an absolute shortage. So as you can see on this final sort of part right here, is that 2027 plus and beyond, I'd say beyond, is when the shortage is expected to ease. So the smarter move would be to spend on a strong GPU and CPU, run 16 gigabytes and add RAM later if you want to. 16 gigabytes is good though. So I'm going to jump straight into the part list. The CPU, Ryzen 5 7600. The GPU is an Intel Arc. Yep, Intel does make GPUs. B580 with 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which in my opinion is a must-have. The motherboard will be an MSI Pro B650M-A Wi-Fi. The RAM is 16 gigabytes of DDR5 6000 CL30. And the SSD would be 1 terabyte. The cooler is going to be, it's cheap, it's a budget option, and the power supply is going to be 650 watts, which is what's important, and it will cover your parts extremely well. Okay. I will continue, but I will also talk about alternatives as I also continue. So we have the CPU here, the Ryzen 5 7600. Back to what I was saying earlier about how Intel seems to be the only option for a CPU as soon as you get in. If you are gaming, Ryzen is so extremely efficient. People just don't realize it. The Ryzen 5 7600 is a 6-core CPU that runs on an AM5 socket. It's above its price for a 1080p gaming, and it's just 65 watts. It's cool and quiet. Going to the GPU, the Arc B580, 12 gigabytes of VRAM. As you can see right there, it says no texture choke at 1080p. It's strong at 1080p and can handle 1440p. So if you want to up your game into higher sort of level, it's great. It has an AV1 encoder, so it's really good for recording. You can even tap into streaming if you really want to. Now, you can see at the bottom, it says the NVIDIA equivalent. to the RTX 5060. And a 5060 is extremely good, and I might be over exaggerating a little bit, but it has 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which is outstanding. And as gaming gets more and more advanced, I know some of the biggest news was the new Rocket League release. It's not like Rocket League 2, but they're reimagining it with Unreal Engine 6, I believe. 1080p gaming is going to get exclusive, we'll say. So unless you're just playing like Counter-Strike or like Valorant or those typical shooters, the you're going to want like something like an ARC B580, which is extremely good. 12 gigabytes of VRAM, which like I said is like almost a must-have. I'm going to shift over to this extremely quickly. This is an alternative to the CPU. Now, if we go to general specifications here, I believe this is AM4. So if you want to make your build cheaper, I'd opt for AM4. But the disadvantage of an AM4 socket is that it locks you out of CPU upgrades, which is crucial. Like extremely crucial. So if you're a big gamer and you're thinking of saving up for a new CPU, if you get an AM4 socket, you will have to get an AM4 motherboard. You'll need DDR4 RAM. You need everything to be compatible. It will make your board motherboard, RAM cheaper. Yes, that is absolutely true. It runs a little bit slower. It's cheaper. It's a trade-off, which is a trade-off that some people are willing to make. That's completely fine. However, if you go to upgrade to an AM5 socket, now you need an AM5 motherboard, you need DDR5 RAM, and the most powerful chip that I know of that is AM4 is the Ryzen 9 5600, I believe, which is AM4 compatible. But you will need to upgrade everything, literally everything. And I cannot stress enough how annoying that is. Anyway, I will stop rambling on about AM4 versus AM5, but the bottom line there is that if you want something cheaper, I'd opt for AM4. But if you want to be able to upgrade in the future, I'd go to AM5. Anyway, here's an alternative graphics card. This is the Radeon R6 6600 graphics card. It's good. You can see here, 1080p max settings. You're running 452 frames on Valorant. That is something. Extremely good, I'll say that. You're running good frames on extremely popular games. Now, the graphics card I recommended, the ARC B580, is extremely good as well. I can't quite see the VRAM on here, which is a little bit concerning. I did research beforehand. I think... Nope. Okay, yeah, 8 gigabytes. Yes, it's 8 gigabytes. Which is not ideal. It's less than ideal, really. In my opinion, if you're gaming or wanting to do anything productive, you don't want to max at 8 gigabytes. So that's why this is an alternative. But then again, I am pretty certain it is cheaper than the ARC B580. But back to here, it is worth it. The ARC B580 is 100% worth it. So that was the justification, essentially. These are two great CPU options. The Ryzen 5 is outstanding, in my opinion. AMD makes such efficient chips, which is why I'd opt for them in a budget build like this. Okay, so the B650 motherboard has an AM5 socket. You can upgrade multiple times. DDR5 RAM is a no-brainer. It's just for the compatibility. Now, if you are a gamer, you can add more memory, have a bigger SSD if you want. There's a little shortage, so that's why I opted for a less amount. But I have a terabyte SSD. It works perfectly. Like, I'll be fully honest with you, it works perfectly. Um, it's still fast, and if you get a high quality one, um, you're good. Like, you're completely fine. That's really that. Um, and it's one of those things as well that you can upgrade later as well. You can add more stuff like that. It's perfectly fine. The Peerless Assassin, it was one of the cheaper options on in terms of CPU coolers. It works pretty fine, you know. Uh, Not much to say about it. It'll cool your CPU like it's supposed to. And then the maximum wattage is expected to be less than 650 watts, so you're good on this. But I will say that if you do want to upgrade your CPU in the future and your GPU, I'd recommend getting in around the 800 watt area, just around that area, maybe like 850, stuff like that, just to be certain. Anyway, on the next slide. Here are cases. These are just some options. The Fantex XT Pro Ultra, which is $70. The Montech Air 903 Max, which is $80. I opt for the Montech. Let me explain the Leon Lee, but that's as it says right there, treat yourself. It's pretty good. Of course, it's more premium, we'll say, but the Montech has the fans included, and since you're not running anything like super high temperature, like it's not like you have AI chips in there or like ultra chips in there. So realistically, you're gonna be okay. You have the fans included; they're good quality, good stuff. So here's a formula. This is our formula for bottlenecking. So if the rating is above 95, it has zero meaningful bottleneck, which is a good thing. So as you can see on the right side here, it's explaining, what do we have essentially? Well, you can see we have the RAM, we have the VRAM, we have the storage, power, cooler. Let's rank the compatibility of this. Our score, here's the weighting, and here's the tiers. This is the certified score of how good we think the build is. You can see what we weight: performance, value, balance, longevity, efficiency, and resilience. And I will say this formula is not the same for everyone. It's not. Some people will weigh in efficiency more than they weigh in performance. And as you can see, efficiency is not so much weighed in this formula. But so I wouldn't take this formula, this certified score at face value. But I will say it is a good benchmark to what you should make your decisions based off of. The compatibility is a 96. Good news. There's no meaningful bottleneck in the slightest. The certified score is an 87 out of 100. And as you can see, I explained that by saying the Ramageddon situation holds it back. It's inflated pricing. And unless you have millions of dollars, you're never going to get that score to an 80. You're never going to get that score to a 100. So there's no point at all in worrying about it. And 87 is extremely good. You're getting bang for your buck, like straight up value, great balance, good performance. And what I like is the longevity of this. The AM5 sockets are going to do you well. 1080p killer. That's the bottom line of this build. It is, in my opinion, extremely good. If you like aesthetics, there are options, but it will price you a little bit more to get like maybe RGB. Your cooling's gonna be good. If you care, this is a little disclaimer here. If you care about running AI, this is where it gets a little bit hairy. AI it takes a lot to do. And if you want to do it, I'd recommend switching to Intel, or you have to go above a Ryzen 5. So I'd recommend a mid-range Ryzen 7 to a low-range Ryzen 9 if you want to run AI. That's probably the cheapest options to get anything good, really. Um, but otherwise, it is a great build that will do you extremely well for gaming and can go to 1440p. Um, it's extremely good. And as you can see, please put your build in the comments. I will run it through the formula, and it's interactive. And if I find your build interesting, if it has a good score or a bad score, I can make custom recommendations for you, and I can give you your score. I can talk about your build, and I can recommend things to other people. Uh, but yeah, please like and subscribe. Drop your build in the comments, and of course, yeah. Have a good day, everyone.